Hey there guys, and welcome to another episode of Tales from the Vargas Vault, the video series where I talk about something in the collection, or just memories of one of my hobbies that impacted me in a significant way. And I was actually debating whether or not to make this Tales from the Vargas Vault or a What the Fuck movie, because this story does have two really big What the Fuck movie moments, but because there is a story involved in this, I decided to just go ahead and make it a Tales from the Vargas Vault. I am recording this on Christmas Eve, and I will upload it on Christmas. So if you're watching this on Christmas, Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays, however you want to celebrate the holiday. I hope you had, despite all the craziness that we're living through in this world, I hope you had a good time. If you got to spend it with your family, I hope that you had an awesome Christmas or a holiday, whatever you celebrate. And yeah, just hope you had a good one. Now, this story is actually inspired by an amazing podcast that I follow called Terror in the Aisles. It's a great podcast. I personally really like it. But if you like horror, if you like stuff from the 80s, if you collect or are interested in action figures, they have you covered. They talk about all those things. And you can follow just the audio podcast and whatever service that you have to download podcasts. I have an iPhone, so I use the iPhone podcast app. And you can download the episode and just listen to them whenever you have a chance. Or if you want to go the extra mile, you can follow them on YouTube. And in YouTube, you do the audio podcast, but they show like pictures or images or videos of what they're talking about. So, if you want to sit down and have a good time, you can look at the podcast or listen to the podcast. But support them. They're really good. The podcast is really good. And yeah, totally recommend it. But they did a Christmas horror episode, and they talked about a movie that personally I think is one of the best horror Christmas comedies ever, and that's Gremlins. And it reminded me of the huge crush that I had on Phoebe Cates. Now, the first time I saw Phoebe Cates, who was an actress that starred in the movie, it was in Gremlins. In Gremlins, I first saw her in Gremlins, and just immediately I was taken aback by how cute she was. Phoebe Cates was something else in that movie. She had long hair. She had this innocent aura of her, but she was like super cute. And Phoebe Cates gave an amazing performance in Gremlins. She was like the personification of the girl next door, and just all sorts of cute. But she was also a great actress, because in Gremlins, which is about, if you haven't seen Gremlins, what the hell, watch the movie. But if you haven't seen it, it's about this small town that just gets invaded and destroyed by these gremlins, these like small lizard-like looking things. But Phoebe Cates, and this is one of the things I was debating on whether or not to make it a what the fuck moment, was they're hiding out from the gremlins in the bank where Billy, the main character, and Phoebe Cates, this character, work. And she goes into this monologue on explaining why she's the only one in the town that doesn't celebrate Christmas. She doesn't put up any Christmas lights. She doesn't celebrate the holiday. And that monologue, that story is like, wow, because this is a horror comedy set in Christmas. And it has some horror moments, yes, but that moment, that monologue, that really sets a really different tone, in my opinion, for Gremlins. It's like that the movie just stops and then gets dark, like really dark. That's an experience that would mess you up real bad for many years. And Phoebe Cates just delivered it like straight, like haunting. I was hanging on every word that she said, not just because She was super cute, but because the way she delivered that monologue, I was like, damn, that was rough. But that's the moment where I was like sold on Phoebe Cates. Like, I wanted to see her in more stuff. And I actually didn't until... Because I rewatched Gremlins a bunch of times, but it wasn't until Gremlins 2 that I saw her again, and I was like, oh, she's back, that's awesome. And she looked even cuter in this one, because she cut her hair, like really, really short, and she had this work dress uniform, and she, like, the scale was, like, up the charts with her, like, holy crap. I thought you were cute, but now you're, like, super amazing. So I was even more hooked on Phoebe Cates. And Gremlins 2, I'm genuinely surprised to hear when people say they don't like that one, because I don't get it. I put it on par with the first one. It's not a horror comedy anymore. It's more like a sci-fi horror. But I like Gremlins 1 and 2 equally. Gremlins 2 actually evolves the Gremlins. You have a spider gremlin, you have a electric gremlin, you have a female, possibly transvestite gremlin. It has a smart gremlin. It has Christopher Lee. It has the guy that played the werewolf in The Howling, who was later the Doctor in Star Trek Voyager. I'm terrible with names, so I think his last name is Picardo. Yeah, it's Picardo. Something Picardo. But it's a great movie. I personally love the movie. But the highlight, again, is Phoebe Cates. So, again, I rewatched Gremlins and Gremlins 2 a bunch of times, but I don't see Phoebe Cates in any other movie until I see somewhere. I was either a preteen or just hitting my teens when I see Fast Times on Richmond High. It's very weird that I saw the horror movies before I saw the raunchy comedy that starred Phoebe Cates, because I'm not sure about the chronological order between Gremlins, Gremlins 2, and Fast Time. I personally saw Gremlins, Gremlins 2, and Fast Times at Richmond High. And it was a raunchy comedy, but again, I saw it because it had Phoebe Cates. So I'm guessing it was after Gremlins, because she still had the long hair. And in Gremlins 2, she had short. But again, I saw it. That's the third movie I saw her in. And I'm watching it. I'm digging it. Phoebe Cates' characters is really cool. And then comes the fantasy scene. The possibly notorious fantasy scene that Judge Reinhold is fantasizing about Phoebe Cates. And she's in the pool. And then she comes up the pool in slow-mo. And dripping wet Phoebe Cates, I'm like... And then she gets up, still in slow-mo. And I'm like mesmerized by this. And then she takes her top and just lets out the puppies. And I'm like, mind blown. Totally like, oh my god, I can't believe this sweet, innocent girl that I saw in Gremlins and Gremlins 2 just let the girls out. And I'm like, totally taken aback by this. And I'm like, I can't process this. Because I never in a million years thought that the girl from Gremlins and Gremlins 2 would pop her top off. And it's not the first time I saw like that in a movie, because again, I saw horror movies that I probably shouldn't have seen, like that story I told about Return of the Living Dead and Linnea Quigley. But yeah, just like that scene was like, what? my brain literally stopped working for a while after I saw that scene. I was like, I just, yeah. It still does. And but yeah, that scene was like, that's the second what the fuck movie moment that I was thinking about doing before deciding on the Tales from the Vargas Vault. But yeah, just wow. And then the last movie I saw Phoebe Cates in was Drop Dead Fred. And she runs the gamut of her looks, because she starts with long hair, which I liked from Gremlins 1 and Fast Times. And then she goes back to short hair from Gremlins 2. And I'm like, that's just, you're perfect. You're like, whatever hairstyle you want to do, it's great. And I remember seeing Drop Dead Fred and not liking it that much. I mean, I liked Phoebe Cates. She was the highlight of the movie. But I found the Drop Dead Fred guy kind of annoying. it wasn't until after I found it on DVD, because that movie was really hard to find on DVD for some reason. But then I found it on DVD, and then I rewatched it. It's a very interesting movie. It really highlights mental problems, like in a way that I didn't process it when I was a kid. But yeah, the highlight is Phoebe Cates. And I suppose I could look at her filmography on Google and track down the rest of the movies, but those 4 movies are the ones that stuck with me the most. Starting my crush on Phoebe Cates. And she got married and then she retired. That was a shame, because I thought she was a really good actress. But yeah, that was my tales from movie experience, from 4 movie experiences, dealing with the uber cute Phoebe Cates. Again, inspired by Terror in the Owls, which you should definitely follow. I highly recommend it. It's one of the best podcasts that I follow. But yeah, let me know what your experiences were with Phoebe Cates, or Gremlins 2, Fast Time, or Drop Dead Fred. I would like to hear other people's opinion, or if they had that moment like I did where they saw that pool scene and they're like mind blown. But yeah, if you're new to my channel and you like what you see, you can subscribe by hitting the subscribe button and the bell, and you'll be notified. My channel is mostly dedicated to movies, at least until I can cross the border and buy some comic books, or get time to play some video games. So right now it's a movie channel. It's I talk about movies, but I love doing it, so if you like hearing that stuff, cool. You can also I post collection pieces on Instagram, on Twitter, and on my Facebook page as Vargas Vault. You can follow me there. But yeah, I hope to see you soon. Please stay safe. Hope you had a really cool Christmas, and I'll see you later. Bye.